Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. Welcome to our 177th episode. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly makes it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. XEN. And also remember that all of our episodes of A Moment of Zen stream 24/7 on your home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide platform. Of course, you can always find us on our YouTube channel. We upload Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern at Zen Sams. In the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, today we have the pleasure of speaking with Ashley Walter, health concierge and influencer. We're going to be chatting all about cancer preventions and slashing your cancer risks in half. In the CO2 Lifts Going Deep segment, we're going to take you on a wild ride featuring Dr. Samuel Salcedo, all the way in California. He's a board-certified plastic surgeon and the founder of the Plastics Doc Medspa in Corona, California. He specializes in breast surgery, mommy makeovers, liposuction, and Brazilian butt lifts. Today, he's going to join me to chat botched celebrity cosmetic procedures and where Cardi B, Priyanka Chopra, and Tara Reid all went wrong. In the Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by Keep the Past, today we're joined by regular contributor and co-host Dan Gilman. He is joined by serial entrepreneur and small business expert Ramon Ray. Ramon is an in-demand thought leader on using personal branding as a tool for small business success. He's also a contributor for entrepreneur.com, blackenterprise.com, and the publisher of Zone of Genius. They're going to join me to chat all about personal branding, the path to success, and life as a celebrity CEO. In the Expressed Beautiful segment brought to you by Skin by Sari, celebrity injector Sari Katz chats dermal fillers in your temples, the liquid facelift. Stay tuned for the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, chatting clean living, cancer prevention, and the importance of balanced hydration. Ashley Walter, health concierge and influencer, coming up next. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. Today we're featuring Ashley Walter. She goes by the handle Living with Ashley. She's a renowned healthy living concierge, and she's a chef dedicated to holistic nutrition and wellness. Specializing in menu planning, meal prep, life strategies, and mastering health and wellness, she empowers individuals to adopt clean living practices. With her expertise in integrating nutritious ingredients like coconut water into daily routines, she helps reduce cancer risk and promote overall health, particularly for millennials and Gen Z, with her incredible insight. Today, she's going to join me to chat clean living and cancer prevention. It's all about hydrating and thriving with the incredible Ashley Walter. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay, so nutrition is such a cornerstone for our health, isn't it? I mean, I recently read that article that millennials and Gen Z are at a higher risk for certain types of cancer, which is pretty alarming considering how health conscious these generations are becoming. Yet with all the avocado toasts and smoothie bowls, there are still gaps in our nutrition. So can you share some essential principles that can really make a difference? And what are some key holistic nutrition principles that millennial and Gen Z should really adopt to reduce this cancer risk?
For sure. I think one of the biggest issues is when you think of those generations, you're thinking of people who are getting new information, right? I call it new of nutrition. So we get so much information that we're overrun. And it all seems to follow on trends and things that are happening, but we've forgotten about the foundational principles of what healthy eating truly is. And so when I talk to people, I try to simplify it. You want to go back to the basics. So one of the foundational principles I love to say is every plate should have 3 to 4 colors on it. It's so simple, right? 3 to 4 colors. I have a 9-year-old, and this is kind of how I coach her as well. Why 3 to 4 colors? Is because you want to have a variety of foods and nutrients in your life. Every color represents a nutrient spectrum that you might not get from another. But we forget about that. And we also tend to have habits where we eat the same thing all the time. So therefore, we're not getting the other nutrients that we are definitely needing to fight off chronic disease. So variety is key. But also, I do like to preface that so much now is about counting macronutrients, calories, but it's not called calorition. It is called nutrition. So I want people to focus on the nutrients that they're taking in. And that also goes in line with slowing down. So slow down to plan, but also one of the biggest strategies I love to tell clients is, and I have them do this, is we are go, 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 especially these generations. And if we don't stop and slow down to eat, we're not digesting our food properly. And we're also not absorbing those nutrients. If we don't absorb them, we can't use them.
That's
so
incredible.
I have clients, chopsticks. I challenge you all, try eating with chopsticks a few days out of 1 week and see how much you have to slow down and really also appreciate your food. But those are some of the basic tips. Fiber is really super key. And because we have so much processed food and everybody, I say it's the white crisis. We want to go brown and we want to have, again, it goes back to that color, having 3 to 4 colors in every
3 to 4 colors. I love this. Now, it's really simple once you break it down. So it's interesting how this new study puts a spotlight on younger generations facing increased cancer risks because clean eating has become more than just a trend, right? It's a necessity. And they say you are what you eat, and it's never actually been truer. So let's talk about how simple changes like choosing organic produce or avoiding processed foods, like you just mentioned, can have that huge impact on our long-term health. So with this study really putting the younger generation in a spotlight, how can incorporating clean ingredients into our daily diet make this huge difference?
The problem is what we approach when we were approaching our diet, the most important thing is, yes, you're thinking clean and whole, but a lot of the generations don't know what that means and how to do that because we're either ordering out or we don't have time to cook. We are focusing on quick fixes. So the real true point is to be able to stick with a plan. And again, it does go back to having those colorful choices and having those things, but really it's a this versus that principle, right? So before you step down and you go grocery shopping or you're eating something, think about if you know what's actually in it. So harmful chemicals are what strip us of what we need to fight off disease. Not only can they cause disease, but they also strip us. Think about the fact that when we eat so many bad things, we're flushing out the good bacteria. The bad is still there. And that's when people start taking probiotics, right? So eating healthy, it's not just about avoiding the bad things, but it's making sure we're filling ourselves with the good. So when you're having produce, I kind of take this approach with the grocery shopping aspect, right? When I'm coaching a client and I say, if you want to think about how you should eat, think about the principle of perimeter shopping. Think about a grocery store. When you go in the grocery store, you could literally thrive off of shopping from the produce section around to the protein section, to the grains, which are generally the bakery. Then you're going to the eggs and dairy. Then you're going all the way around and you could go check out without going to the internal aisles because the internal aisles is where everything's in a bag or a box. So if you can
I love that. I love what you just said. I'm going to now stick to that. But that's right there, the golden piece of advice. I want to be mindful of the time, so I'm going to move on now to hydration, which as a mom, this is something that I can't talk about enough. So staying hydrated seems so simple, yet it's something many of us neglect. I mean, how often do we forget to drink water because we're so busy with our lives? But proper hydration is crucial, not just for our skin and energy levels, but it also plays this significant role in our overall health, including reducing cancer risk. Yes, it does. And let's be honest, coconut water has become quite the superstar in the hydration game. So can you explain the role of staying hydrated and maintaining overall health and potentially lowering cancer risk and how all of this comes back to coconut water?
For sure. I attribute this. So when you think about our bodies, we have to flush things out. And we're not really going to do a good job flushing it out with coffee or energy drinks that have additives in there that are not all natural. So water, coconut water, really taking that in, flushing out our system. It's flushing out toxins that potentially contribute to the development of cancer and other diseases. Not to mention staying well hydrated, right? Also promotes kidney health, liver health, and it's a primary detox for all of our main organs. So you say bye-bye to the chemicals while you're maintaining the minerals and nutrients that you're absorbing. However, drinking enough water also helps us stave off weight gain. You're curbing unnecessary snacking, you're supporting your metabolism. All of our 10 control systems are energized by water and sleep. So if we don't do that, and coconut water actually speeds it along with the natural electrolytes that are in there. So you're not loading it up with fake sugars that would
Okay,
not.
so wait, pause. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Now I want you to talk to me about that. So I've noticed that coconut water is everywhere these days, from yoga studios to inside our morning smoothies, but it's not just a fad. There's an actual real science behind its benefits. Like you said, it's packed with electrolytes, it's low in calories, and it's a fantastic way to hydrate naturally. And it does taste amazing. So what benefits does it offer, especially in the context of clean living and cancer prevention?
For sure. So if you are an energy drink person, I used to run marathons. I used to have to load up, but on a daily basis, like you just said, being a mom, we all need to hydrate. And if you need to hydrate faster and better, more efficiently, then the electrolytes that are natural in coconut water are going to hydrate you faster, but also keep you hydrated longer. But with the antioxidants in there, it is literally nature's very own sports drink, because electrolytes like potassium, sodium, and magnesium are known to be used for other things like proper muscle function, which is other sports drinks with the fake sugar. They're just there to hydrate you. We don't think about proper muscle function. So it's amazing that it does that for us as well. But the biggest thing that I say is it aids in digestion. Fake sugars are known to cause a traffic jam in our digestive systems and also strip us of good minerals and vitamins that we need. However, when you have this, it's very gentle on the stomach. And in this society where we're all missing a lot of proper good bacteria, we have stomach issues. So anything we can do to keep digestion going strong and to promote good bacteria and just like an easy system, coconut water is going to do that for you.
I love it. So this brings me into my next question. So cooking healthy meals can sometimes feel like a challenge for most people, but I always say it doesn't have to be. I actually enjoy cooking and creating meals for my daughter. But as a chef, you have a unique perspective on how to make nutritious food, both delicious and accessible. And now coconut water is a fantastic ingredient with numerous health benefits that you just pointed out. And I'm sure there are creative ways to use it beyond just drinking it. So how do you integrate coconut water and other health boosting ingredients into your recipes to promote this balanced and cancer preventative diet?
One of the biggest things I do is, we know that fats, whether they be healthy fats or not, sometimes can back up our system. So when we use cooking oil, one of the biggest tips for people to stave off weight gain, but in a healthy way, is to use a little bit of water. But I use coconut water, because not only does it add a little bit of flavor, it can add a little depth to that. So if I'm cooking something, let's say I'm sauteing vegetables, I'll use the coconut water instead of oil to saute the vegetables. Or if I'm making a smoothie, I always use coconut water in my smoothies, just because I don't like to use a dairy base or a non-dairy base. I make the coconut water with ice, and then the vegetables and fruits in it really make for a substantial smoothie without having that. So another creative way is coconut water for me. I have a little girl, so it's super fun to do some recipes in the morning. So we'll do overnight oats with half coconut water and then half of the solid coconut fat, like coconut cream, not a milk. So when you combine them together, it makes something that's thicker and sustainable in a baking situation, or just like an overnight oats. But those are my favorite ways to use it.
You're speaking my language. My daughter loves coconut milk, and she loves everything coconut water related. And specifically, the Once Upon a Coconut brand has the chocolate flavored coconut water that tastes like almost like chocolate milk, but it's vegan and has very low sugar. And I think that's a huge, big shout out to Once Upon a Coconut for coming up with that chocolate flavor. Now I'm going to pivot a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
quite encouraging to know that 40%, right, of these cancers are preventable with the right lifestyle choices, putting you at the heart of it all, my dear. That's a significant number, 40%. They're preventable. So implementing changes gets tricky here, from quitting smoking to maintaining a healthy weight. There's changes that have to be implemented throughout, and it could be overwhelming. But what would you suggest as the first steps for us younger generations, millennial, Gen Z, to start making these healthy lifestyle choices? And how can we make these habits stick, especially in our fast-paced world?
So the biggest thing when I start with clients is, one, you have to have a plan. The plan is the first step. And most people just think they're going to dig right in. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to eat healthy, but they buy a bunch of things and they don't know how to use them, or they don't know how to plan out their days. So this is where life strategies comes into play. It really is stepping down and once or twice a week planning out not only your exercise and your meals, but your grocery shopping, putting it in your calendar of the times that you're going to go and you're going to commit to these tasks and not saying no. But the biggest way to make this stick, and this is what people don't learn, is it needs to fit into your lifestyle in a way where it's not an all or nothing situation. You need to ease into it. If it's not realistic and manageable, it's not going to keep going. So consistency is key. Start with the things that you have the biggest overarching difficulty with, and then start adding in other things. So don't go all for, I'm going to go to the gym every day. I'm going to cook all these meals. I'm going to start practicing meditation and yoga. You need to focus on what your biggest issue is first. And then after you've mastered that for several weeks, they say it takes 30 straight days of consistency to have mastered something. Then you start to add in other things, but your initial goals should be realistic. Meal prep, I'm going to make 5 meals this week, not 21. That's just an example of how to do that.
That's great advice. Start small. All right, we have about a minute left, so we're going to pivot right back to coconut water. So it's fascinating how we've been talking about coconut water has become a go-to for many health enthusiasts, almost replacing the traditional sports drinks. You alluded to this a little bit earlier. And studies have shown that while sports drinks can be loaded with sugar and artificial ingredients, coconut water offers a natural alternative with essential electrolytes, and it provides the same hydration benefits, maybe even more, without the extra calories or additives. So how does coconut water actually stack up against these traditional sports drinks, especially when we're considering long-term health and cancer prevention? Because I know some of these sports drinks have some harmful ingredients in them.
I don't want to name names, but absolutely it does. When you think about it, I try to make my clients understand that your body is, think of your dream car, your luxury sports car, right? You're not going to fill it with diesel, which is dirty fuel. You want to fill it with the cleanest fuel possible so that you have efficiency, right? And so when you're filling it with these like fake additives, things that are, it's going to run your engine down. So the fake sugars, the chemicals, what people don't understand is it interrupts every single control system you have in your body. So not only is it preventing you from absorbing what you need, it's also flushing out what you don't need, and it causes sugar cravings. So you're eating even more unhealthy because you need to feed that sugar, whether it's fake sugar or real sugar in the drink. It's starting that domino effect and you're going to go down. Whereas coconut water, it does not have those issues. It actually makes you feel, in my mind, psychologically, but also it really does, it makes you feel fuller. It makes you feel just as satiated as an energy drink. If you're going for it for flavor, people, it makes you feel just as good having that, but it hydrates you better. And then you also don't get those cravings. I think that's a big issue that no one addresses, that it feeds in the need for you to keep drinking another sugary beverage or having, that's kind of like the old adage of people who say they can't stop at one Diet Coke, right?
Yeah.
They have one and they keep going. It's because you need to keep feeding it, and you're having those natural blood sugar crashes that just make you want more.
Yeah, it's like it's like a Pringle. Once you start, you can't stop.
Exactly. And not for good reasons on this side.
No, at all.
I think what the biggest here's one thing that I do say to clients about coconut water. People get so hung up on the fake sugar energy drinks because they're like 0 calories and they tout all of this. But I would rather people have high density calories that mean something, rather than having 0 calories that are doing more harm than good in the long run.
Yeah.
So
Well, we are officially out of time, but this was so insightful. I could go on for another 30 minutes with you and really cover all the cool tips and tricks for our listeners and viewers out there. We do the research for you, my darlings. We do the research for you. Ashley is proof. Thank you for being my expert on the microphone in this Hydration with Heart segment.
thank you so much for having me.
It was so much fun. Now, making the switch from sugary drinks to healthier options like coconut water can seem like a small change, but guess what? It's going to have a massive impact. And we know that maintaining a healthy weight is crucial for cancer prevention, and sugary drinks are often a hidden culprit in weight gain. Up to 40% of cancers can be prevented with lifestyle changes, and reducing sugar intake is a huge part of this. This switch to coconut water is definitely significant. That was our Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. And that was the amazing Ashley Walter. She goes by the handle Living with Ashley. She's a renowned healthy living concierge and chef dedicated to holistic nutrition and wellness. You can check her out on her website at livingwithashley.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com. Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes in our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift. Today, we're taking you on one wild ride featuring Dr. Salcedo, the plastics doc. He's a board-certified plastic surgeon and the founder of the Plastics Doc Medspa in Corona, California. He specializes in breast surgery, mommy makeovers, liposuction, and Brazilian butt lifts. He is renowned for his expertise in cosmetic and reconstructive procedures. His practice is dedicated to delivering high quality, personalized care, of course, to enhance patient satisfaction and outcomes. His commitment to safety and innovation is above all else. He's going to join me today to chat botched celebrity cosmetic procedures and where Cardi B, Priyanka Chopra, and Tara Reid all went wrong. Welcoming now to the show is the good doctor, Dr. Salcedo. Welcome to the show, superstar.
What's up, Zen? Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Let's
my
get
goodness.
into it.
This is one trending topic, botched surgeries. People can't get enough of it. I don't know what the fascination with this is, but I feel sorry for the victims that we're talking about. Now, according to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, complications in cosmetic procedures arise from a lot of factors, including surgeon error, inadequate patient consultation, and of course, poor post-operative care. But given your extensive experience in plastic surgery, what are the key factors that really lead to these botched surgeries as highlighted by the stories like these stars, Cardi B and Priyanka Chopra?
Yeah, great question. I think what patients need to do first is find the right surgeon. I think that's number one, the most important thing, meaning you've got to do your research on the surgeon, look at their before and afters, look at their reviews, and make sure you're finding the correct expert for the procedure that you want done.
Yeah, without a doubt, the American Board of Plastic Surgery, in fact, recommends checking board certification, which I don't think people do, and patient reviews, which I also think people look at maybe the first couple they read as those crucial steps in selecting a surgeon. So you are spot on. Now, how can potential or patients really ensure they select a qualified and reputable surgeon to avoid the pitfalls faced by the celebrities like Bristol Palin and Tara Reid? Like, are you going through recommendation, word of mouth? Do you have a network you recommend? What are your first steps?
So you nailed it right on the head. I think number one is find a board certified plastic surgeon. And the way that you can do that is you can go to the American Society of Plastic Surgeons and you can actually find a surgeon. There's a find a surgeon locator, and you can put your surgeon's name into that database and it will return whether that surgeon is board certified or not. And that's the number one step is don't even start. Don't even look into a surgeon who's not board certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery.
Okay, now let's pivot to something that has caught everybody's attention this year. It's cool sculpting, and it was Linda Evangelista's botched cool sculpting experience. So, of course, proper patient assessment and realistic expectation settings are critical, but cool sculpting's paradoxal, I think it was adipose hyperplasia, occurs in about 0.025% of cases, so 0.025. But what pre-surgery consultations and evaluations do you conduct to minimize the risk of complications similar to hers, which essentially reversed all her fat deposits and ended up having caused a ton of gain weight for her?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, number one is good patient selection. For particularly for cool sculpting, you want to have patients who have a minimal amount of fat. They just need a little bit of fat loss in certain select areas. It's not someone who needs to lose 20 pounds before they do lipo or cool sculpting. Someone who has excessive fat is not going to get a result for cool sculpting, a good result from cool sculpting. So that's number one. Number two is also informed consent. You need to let patients know that this is something that can happen. We know with cool sculpting, paradoxical adipose hyperplasia is a known complication of cool sculpting. And I'm not being critical of other providers that do it, but I don't even offer cool sculpting in my office for that reason. If there's a high enough risk of something occurring, it's just better. If you want to avoid that risk occurring, don't do the procedure in the first place. So I typically don't offer cool sculpting for that reason because it's a known complication of the procedure.
Thank you for your transparency. Now I see where she went wrong and where many women can go wrong because that is a real thing backed by science, paradoxal hyperplasia. Now, what pre-surgery consultations do you conduct really to minimize not just complications in cool sculpting, but in all the other surgical areas that you specialize in, whether it's liposuction or breast augmentation?
Right. So again, patient selection is number one. You have to make sure that your patients are a good candidate for the procedure. Whatever procedure you're performing, you have to make sure that they have the potential to get a good outcome. Number two is expectations. You have to set appropriate expectations. Just like with cool sculpting, you have to let patients know there are certain risks that are associated with certain procedures.
Now, you just nailed it. Effective communication, I say, and setting realistic expectations are vital. Studies show that 93% of satisfied patients had a thorough pre surgery consultation, and quite oftentimes more than just one. Now, considering Sharon Osbourne's experience with a botched facelift, what steps really can be taken to manage patient expectations? I'm quite certain she went to a very qualified surgeon who properly must have guided her, but where did she go wrong?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, looking at her before, you can see she had a pretty aggressive facelift done. She had kind of looks like she got a little bit over tightened during her procedure. So, there's surgeons have different preferences of how they like to have their results look. So, some are more aggressive, right? And some patients will gravitate towards a more aggressive surgeon that does more aggressive tightening or more aggressive techniques. Then there's some surgeons like myself who prefer a more conservative technique and a more natural conservative result. So again, that's when it goes back to looking at your surgeons before and after and making sure that you're choosing the correct surgeon for the procedure that you want to do. If you look at their before and afters and it's not something that you think you would like or you would be interested in, you should avoid that surgeon. If you look at their before and afters and you see something that you like or patients that look similar to you that got similarly good results, then you should go with that surgeon.
You make a great point. You make a great point. And of course, to the naked eye, people might look at a celebrity today and say, well, we think she looks perfectly fine. But if you do a comparison of a decade difference, especially in photographs, they don't lie and you can alter as much as you want. But you will see where the botched procedure actually occurred, whether you're a professional or not. And this brings us to the next point. psychological support and post-operative counseling are crucial. About 10% of cosmetic surgery patients experience post-surgical depression. Now, in your practice, how do you address the psychological impact of botched surgeries that either you have to repair? I know that Priyanka Chopra went through a major depression after her botched surgery.
Yeah, so this is something that doesn't get brought up a lot, and I think this is an excellent point. There absolutely is truth to this post-surgical depression. Even with great results, some people from the stress of surgery, from the disruption of their lifestyle, will still experience some degree of depression. And I think we don't address this enough. Number one, as the surgeon, what we have to do is listen to our patients, recognize that this is occurring, and be proactive about treating it. Although we don't talk a lot about this, I think actually therapy is not a bad idea at all after surgery, especially if someone is experiencing a moderate to severe degree of depression after their surgery. Counseling may be a good option for managing that. And we don't recognize it enough and treat it enough. And I think that's a problem in our industry that needs to be addressed. And I think it's great that you're highlighting that and bringing awareness to the fact that some people do experience that after their surgeries.
You make a great point. Seeking out a good therapist post procedure, just the same way you would seek out the best, uh, anti bruising or repair mechanisms post procedure, you would do the same for your brain, right? So I think that you're onto something, and treatment and seeking that friend to talk to or that professional is critical. Now, let's pivot a little bit. Non invasive treatments like CO2 lift reduce risks associated with surgical procedures and provide noticeable improvements in skin texture and elasticity. Studies have highlighted that carboxytherapy treatments increase skin hydration by 117% and elastin production by close to 26%, significantly enhancing, of course, skin texture and elasticity, and that's key. So this non-invasive treatment, to my understanding, works by delivering carbon dioxide to the skin, which then stimulates blood circulation and boosts oxygen levels. It was explained to me that this process really truly revitalizes the skin by enhancing the collagen production, but really leading to visible, brighter, firmer, and these youthful results, right? Now, in light of Cardi B's issues with fillers, what are the advantages of using non invasive products like CO2 lift for facial enhancements? And do you think that this is a fad?
So you took the words right out of my mouth. What can I say now? You said it all. So carboxy gel is fantastic at increasing oxygenation in the tissues. So by increasing that concentration of carbon dioxide in the tissues, it stimulates the body to bring in oxygenated tissue, which has fresh, it has growth factors, it has that high oxygen concentration, which yes, stimulates collagen growth. So in patients who have a mild degree of fine lines or wrinkles and they don't want to necessarily jump to Botox or fillers, this provides them an option that they can potentially delay starting those treatments by increasing the collagen. Anytime we increase collagen in the face, we fill in that gap that creates those fine wrinkles, those fine lines that we would typically treat with Botox or fillers.
That's a great point. I love that you said that this is the prelude to avoiding anything neurotoxin and delaying the process as much as you can and letting your skin age gracefully. But let's go one step further. How can CO2 lift products help in reversing these fine lines and wrinkles and and really reduce the need for invasive procedures um, on a cellular level?
So yeah, like I said, on a cellular level, what you're doing is you're increasing the collagen deposition by bringing in oxygenated blood flow. You're bringing in growth factors. You're bringing in more blood flow. That's going to help stimulate the body to produce more collagen. Collagen is the key to our skin. So all the things that we do, all the non-invasive treatments like Morpheus, radio frequency microneedling, all these things, CO2 laser, all of the treatments that we do to our skin to improve the texture, to improve the quality, to reduce fine lines and wrinkles are all aimed at increasing the collagen deposition in our skin. And that's what CO2 lift helps in doing. So it's essentially a mini hyperbaric treatment, bringing in all that super oxygenated tissue into the cells, and that's what helps increase the collagen. When we do that, we improve the fine lines, we improve the wrinkles, and like I said before, it can delay the need for having to get into invasive treatments like Botox and fillers.
Now, you took the words right out of my mouth. This hyperbaric oxygen chamber has been brought up many times. Dr. Hoyos had compared it as well, CO2 lift products, to that after liposuction. Now, CO2 lifts carboxytherapy is also shown to improve wound healing and reduce scar formation by promoting this oxygenation and tissue repair. So, what role does CO2 lift products play in post operative care to ensure better healing and reduce scarring?
Well, if you've ever seen the commercial for Frank's Red Hot, and she goes, "I put that S on everything," right? That for me, that's what carboxytherapy or CO2 Lift Pro is for me. I literally put it on everything now. So whether I'm doing a filler treatment, particularly like so with Cardi B, where she got the nose fillers, even if I'm doing any kind of treatment where I need more blood flow, where I want that healing to be improved, I use the CO2 Lift Pro. So nose fillers, when I do blephs, so my surgical upper eyelid lifts, I'm putting it on that. When I do chin lipo in the office, I'm putting it on after those treatments to bring in that oxygenated tissue. Like I said, it's like a mini hyperbaric treatment directed in one area. The thing about genuine actual hyperbaric treatment is you have to go to this big dive chamber, you sit in there for 45 minutes. It's a little inconvenient to do those kind of treatments. This is the opposite of that. This is extremely convenient. We can place it exactly where we want it. So in an area that I've treated upper eyelid lifts, chin lipo, 360 lipo, breast procedures, I put it on all of that, and it brings in that oxygenated tissue to help with blood flow, to help with wound healing, to help the scars look better in the long term.
Tell me you don't love CO2 lift without telling me you love CO2 lift. Now,
Exactly.
considering this growing trend, which there is a growing trend towards non-invasive cosmetic solutions, the role of CO2 lift products evolving in the future of aesthetic treatments is very promising. What advice would you give to patients considering any kind of cosmetic surgery but are apprehensive to do so because of the risks of these botched outcomes?
So again, like we mentioned at the top of the interview, seek out a board certified plastic surgeon. That's number one. Number two, do the research on your surgeon. Look at their before and afters. Look at their reviews, especially. See if they have, every surgeon will have some reviews that are unfavorable. You're not going to hit a home run every single time. But what you want to see is the majority of their reviews. I happen to be 5-star on all my reviews over Google, but not just that. Look at how many reviews they have as well. If they have 5 reviews, that's a little bit questionable. If they have 200, 500 or more, that's a good sign that there's unanimously good results with that surgeon. And again, another thing too is also look at how many of those procedures that they've done that you're looking into. Look at the before and afters of the procedure that you're looking into so that you know you're getting the expert for the procedure that you want to pursue.
Wow. Well, we are officially out of time. No doubt in my mind that you are quite the expert in all the areas of these very, very expert surgeries that you do. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us about where they all went wrong so we can all go right.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
The mechanism behind CO2 lift's effectiveness, guys, lies in carboxytherapy, where carbon dioxide is infused into the skin, leading to increased oxygenation and improved blood flow. And this process triggers collagen and elastin production, which are essential for maintaining youthful and healthy skin. And of course, clinical data supports that carboxytherapy effectively reduces signs of aging, and such as the good doctor told us, fills in fine lines and wrinkles and improves overall skin tone and texture. I can personally vouch for that myself. The treatment has been shown to be effective in also reducing dark circles and puffiness around the eyes and really enhance that hydration. And there's an incredible radiance immediately after application. I can attest to that. That was our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift. Definitely check out the good doctor at theplasticsdoc.com, or you can check him out on the gram at theplasticsdoc. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase in luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by Keep the Past, we're joined by our regular contributor and co-host Dan Gilman. And today he is joined by serial entrepreneur and small business expert Ramon Ray, an in-demand thought leader on using personal branding as a tool for small business success. Speaking my language, using insight gained on his own journey of starting 5 successful businesses, he inspires and educates thousands of people every year through his articles, podcasts, speeches, and books. He's also a contributor for entrepreneur.com, blackenterprise.com, and publisher of zoneofgenius.com. Wow, he's an expert in his field. Audiences around the world are inspired by his high energy and ability to connect and care. They join me today to chat all about personal branding, the path to success, and life as a celebrity CEO. Welcoming now to the show our superstars Ramon Ray and Dan Gilman. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having me here. Good to see you, Dan.
Good to see you.
So excited that you're both here. Let's dive right in. Ramon, I know you were born in the Midwest, but as a young teen, you moved to Brooklyn. That piqued my interest right here in the tri-state area, making you part well-mannered Midwestern and part action-oriented New Yorker. I love this tagline. Picking it up from here, can you share a bit about your journey and what inspired you to become an entrepreneur and a small business expert?
Absolutely. And again, Zen, it's so good to be here and good to be with you, Dan. My parents are ministers, full-time Christian ministers. So that's just one little context to how I grew up in a very conservative Christian home. And they were called the full-time ministry. So that's why we left Ohio. And then we lived in Brooklyn for a number of years. As I graduated high school, fast forwarding many years, I worked for the United Nations. As some of you may know, the New York area audience, there's the General Assembly in the UN where all the heads of state come and block our traffic. I see those nods in Midtown. So I worked there right out of kind of beginning college. I started college a bit late and was there until I was fired because I was an entrepreneur, had a side hustle for many years. I had permission to do it, and then that permission was revoked. And today I'm here talking to Zen and Dan because I chose to continue my entrepreneurial journeys. And since then have started 5 companies, sold 3, authored 5 books. That's the nutshell of me, Ramon Ray.
Wow. In a nutshell. What don't you do? So you manifested this interview and you're here today. Well, you've had quite the journey, and as someone who has started several businesses, I'm so glad we have you here today to share your insights for aspiring entrepreneurs. But I know the journey is not always easy, and many often tend to lose faith along the way. It's very common. However, it's so important to stay positive and keep plugging away. In fact, according to research published in the journal Applied Psychology Researchers, they discovered that while having a positive mindset alone doesn't automatically lead to success, when looking at accomplished entrepreneurs, the majority of them had an established positive mindset as they progressed in their business journey. So it's quite interesting, that correlation. But interestingly enough, it all comes back full circle in terms of mindset, preparedness, and trekking forward. Now, I know Dan has a few questions relating to this, so I'm going to hand it off to you, buddy.
Yeah, there are many people currently struggling in the world today, as you know. How do you maintain resilience and a positive mindset during challenging times?
It's not easy. And again, I wish I could say I was perfect at it, but I think that is one thing by God's grace that I do well, Dan and Zen. I think that the aspect of, I'm very grateful. I remember talking about Brooklyn, what it's like to be in a small apartment, living across from a trash compactor. I can feel myself tearing up already, coming from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I was crying in tears. I didn't want to leave that beautiful location and go to where I was at the moment. Again, of those who live there, that's where we are today. But for me, I'm a grateful person. Opening my refrigerator today and seeing I got all this food in there. I got Dunkin' Donuts, coffee, creamer, and food, and I can order food. So I'm a grateful person. So I think that's one reason why I'm positive. And second of all, probably I like people. I really like people. Yeah, even if I'm on the train, on the plane. Hey, good morning. Hey, how are you? I like people. So those are two reasons I'd like to think why I keep the positivity, being grateful, and just a genuine love of people.
You are
That's great.
infectious. Now,
Thank you.
now, Ramon,
He's amazing.
he's amazing. Now, let's chat about personal branding. So
Yeah.
I know you've written a book centered around the subject called
Yeah.
Celebrity CEO, which is the complete guide to creating a strong personal brand that will set your business apart from your competitors. And interestingly enough, in recent years, the Google search volume for quote unquote personal brand has grown over 4 and 5x. So this is
Mhm.
clearly a subject that individuals are looking to educate themselves on now more than ever. And an established personal brand is vital to build both trust and profitability. According to Brand Builders Group study, 82% of all Americans agree, and that's a huge number, that companies are more influential if their executives have a personal brand that they follow and know. So I'd love to hear your thoughts since you are the expert here. How important is personal branding in today's business environment, and what tips can you offer to building a strong personal brand?
Yeah, and thank you for asking. I think there's two things on that. A, you can be a business owner, decide, hey, we're just going to make product X, service Y. We're going to hide behind it and just promote the brand. That might work. That's okay. But I believe it's a disservice then to the brand by you not showing your smile, your face, your handshake, how you show up, doing some sort of podcast, some interview, write a book, do an event, something where your personal brand is involved. I think it's an asset to the brand. So I'm a firm believer, especially for us smaller businesses. Large businesses, you can just buy a bunch of ads and et cetera. Maybe nobody cares, but the larger businesses should still do it. But for the smaller ones, I think especially Megan's cupcake company. Megan, please don't hide behind it. Hey, I'm Megan. I'm eating a cupcake. You should come inside my store and buy it. And you probably get what I'm trying to say. So the point is not hiding behind that, but leveraging who we are to help promote the business is an asset to the business because people buy from people. Rarely have I seen two brands buy from each other, but people buy from people. What we're doing today, Zen.
I want to meet Megan.
I do too. Megan's a cool person.
Moving on to that, actually, concerning community and networking, how important is community and networking for small business success?
It's everything, Dan. I'm on the board of directors of the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce and some other organizations. And you'd think, we three have some mature business owners, done some probably cool things in life. And, but people still love to network and get out there, shake a hand. So I think networking is great. And my 2 cents of advice would be just how you network. You don't go, hi, can I have your number? Hi, here's my card. But more so, hey, Dan, I see you have a beautiful shirt on. Tell me a little about yourself. Hey, Zen, I heard you had modeling in your career. How did that work? How was that? So, just getting a little bit interested in people as you network and finding out. Second thing I would say, how can I serve you? How can I add value to your world? It's not all about the sale, the purchase, the buy, but sometimes it's just two people uplifting each other. Sometimes it's just a retweet or a comment on LinkedIn. That could be networking right there, Dan.
Brilliant.
Ramon, I love your enthusiasm, and I love how you've made it a passion of yours to really spread the knowledge you've gained on your journey, because it's one thing to succeed in business as you have, but another to educate others. So I really admire that what you're doing, and it shows that you love people. Now, I know one way you educate others is through public speaking events, and you've shared the stage with iconic business thought leaders like Seth Godin and Simon Sinek and Gary Vaynerchuk. Can you share a memorable moment or insight from these experiences that had a lasting impact on you?
Yeah, for sure. So many stories. And I think overall, mushing them all together, just what an honor to stand with such icons. Actually, can I have your permission, Zen, to deviate for 1 second?
Sure.
Hearing your show in my car, I was like, wow, I'd love to be with Zen one day. I'm not gassing you, really. So for me being here, it's an honor. You too, Dan, but I didn't kind of know about you, Dan, but Zen, it's an honor because we talked earlier about manifesting where you want to be. So I just want to say I am genuinely excited to serve with you all and be here on this show. But one example of it, I've been with so many amazing people, and I think that two quick stories I'll share. one, many people may know Guy Raz, how I built it, or how I built this, Guy Raz, right? And I was at an event, Gary Vaynerchuk's VCon, just last year. It was interesting, such an iconic person, millions and zillions of followers and all this, sold trillions of books, as it were. I could sense he was nervous, and I felt it was cute. I'm like, oh, he's in my world now. I've been on stages all over, and he has too. So that's what it's interesting, that we all have a little bit of insecurities. Nothing bad about him, but it was just cute. It was interesting how this iconic leader, he's like, Ramon, so what are you going to ask me, Ramon? What do we do? And I was like, don't worry, I got you. Second little story was I was on stage with one of Steve Harvey's comedians, forgot the name, Uncle something like this. And Zen and Dan, he started ripping me apart, like comedically making fun of me. So I had to think, do I fire back? I can be kind of sharp tongued, or do I just stand there? And I just stood there. I'm like, he's a professionally trained comedian. Let me just absorb the jokes. 1,000 people were there. I was co-host, and I just smiled. So those are two little stories.
Well, I love how you kept your poise and you thought the better of it, because I probably would have reacted. Queen of improv here, but you're bigger at what you do than I am. Now, if you weren't already doing enough, I know you also have a show called the Rundown with Ramon, which is a fun, fast-paced. How could it be fast-paced with you? High energy show. Chock full of practical tips to help you succeed in business and in life. And viewers can find it on platforms such as the USA Today Network, where it has achieved the #1 highest viewership minutes. Pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Ramon, in a sea of business and self-help shows, what do you believe sets your show apart and resonates strongly with your viewers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think you're right. There's a lot of great shows. This one right here that we're on. And I think that goes back, Zen, to the idea of personal branding. God's given us all a unique way we show up. We three probably can say the same things about the same topic with the same bullet points. We're all going to show it different, how our voices, our cadence, how we show up, our hair, our lack thereof. So we all going to show up different. And for me, one thing I do, for example, it's a small, more tactical thing. Like, I don't have time for sound effects in. So here's what I do on my show. When I change the topics, I do something like ding, 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 ding. Next topic up. Can you believe it? Blah, 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 blah. It sounds weird, but I have people repeating back to me like, Ramon, can you do the ding, 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 ding? So it sounds hokey, maybe sounds a bit corny, but it's just, I'm me. And I run it how I want. So you're right. All of us are going to say similar things, but we can all find out what's our unique strength. What's our unique difference? What can we bring to the table? And we can hone in on that and rock that.
Wow. I want to meet Megan as she's dinging down the street now.
Yes.
Together we'll meet her.
Well, I've always been curious, like, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Definitely, Dan, be more thoughtful. When I worked at the United Nations, there was a gentleman there, older gentleman, and I would mimic his accent, but I won't do that. I do it in private, but older gentleman from India, and his name was Mr. Nathan. I will never forget him. He's since passed away, but I had a rough time at times in that office I was at. And he would always tell me in his beautiful South Asian accent, Ramon, don't send that email now. You're angry. Wait till tomorrow and sleep on it. So I would continue that advice. I think I could be a bit hot-headed, nothing violent or anything like that, but the one to just snap quick. And his advice rings in my ears. So I wish more often that I would just slow down and think, be a bit more methodical. Because even today, being a 51-year-old man, I can move fast. I can say yes, but you know what? Zen, maybe let's sleep on that before we do that deal. Or Dan, let me chew on that. Probably a yes. But just give me 3 days to chew on that. So I wish I would do that more now and my younger self.
That's great advice. We have about a minute left. What are any special projects, any future speaking engagements? Talk to me. What's going on in your world?
Yeah, big things I'm working on is that in the coming months, we have an entrepreneurs conference and awards. So I love hosting and doing big events. Maybe one of you will be there. So I love doing big events. And I think my tip of the day thought that I always think about is keep showing up, and good things will happen to you.
Wow. Well,
That's
we
great.
are at the end of that interview, my dear friend. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us with a bundle of energy and full of enthusiasm. It was great chatting with you today and gaining insight into how you conduct your ecosystem and succeed in your life. You are quite the inspiration.
Thank you, Zen. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
That was the Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by Keep the Pass. And that was the incredible serial entrepreneur and small business expert, Ramon Ray. Definitely be sure to check him out online at celebrityceo.com and zoneofgenius.com. And of course, you can check him out on the gram at Ramon Ray Smart Hustle. And of course, you can see more of Dan by heading to discoveryourpotentialshow.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Do you have the dream of starting and owning your own business, or know of someone who does? If so, check out Your Home Business program, where they inspire, equip, and encourage those who dream of owning and operating their own business. Check out Your Home Business on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. A Moment of Zen is sponsored by FinTech TV.
FinTech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Hi guys, Sari Katz here with this week's Express Beauty segment for A Moment of Zen. Great news guys, the FDA has now approved a new indication for the hyaluronic acid filler Voluma. That's right, we can now inject filler in our temples. Well, what does that mean? Unfortunately, over time as we age, our temples hollow out, giving us a more alien or skeletal-like appearance, really aging the face. But if we fill the temples, we can give a more softer, balanced appearance. Actually, studies show contouring, lifting, and shaping the temple region softens the transition from the forehead to the cheekbone and lifts slightly the eyebrow and upper cheek area, giving us what we like to consider the liquid facelift. So recent studies for the clinical trials show that patients were actually feeling on average about 5 years younger in appearance after getting their temples filled. And 85% of those patients, even a year later, were still happy enough to recommend it to a family or a friend. So if you're interested in the liquid facelift, talk to your aesthetic provider about temple hollow filling, and always tune in with Sari Katz for the Express Beauty segment on A Moment of Zen.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Are you looking to build a new home? Think about building a barn-dominium. There's just something about getting away from it all. Country living, fresh air, and outdoor entertainment. Watch luxury barn-dominium tours on Your Home TV and let Stacy Lynn, the barn-dominium lady, take you on a journey through her barn-dominium designs.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join us right here every Saturday night from 9 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's free programming to you. And you can also check us out on our YouTube channel Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. We upload everything directly there. All episodes, of course, are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide streaming platform. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make the show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll be back next week.